Thank you very much for listening to this week's share in anticipation of the last day or days of Pesach. And we're dedicating our learning to the safety and success of all of the soldiers in the IDF and all of the soldiers in the US Armed Forces as we are still fighting against evil. Please God, we hope for a speedy and complete victory. And for the refuah sheleima of Rivka Yittel bas Rochel and לעלוי nishmas Rav Meir David ben Shneir Zalman. And as we look at the approaching denouement, the conclusion of the miraculous festival of Pesach, and think about the themes of the Haggadah, the Seder night that we started with, in so much excitement and reading an ancient, eternally relevant story. How do we hold on to the Haggadah? How do we take that excitement and the message of the Haggadah and keep it eternally vibrant? And listening just now to an interview by a former hostage, I believe he was one of the hostages who was released, thank God, on Hoshana Rabbah some 6 months ago. His name is Alon Ohel, and he was saying in this short clip that he is celebrating his first Pesach after more than 2 years in captivity, and how he was chained by his hands, by his feet, and how he wasn't the one who decided when he ate and what he ate. He wasn't the one who decided when he could go to the bathroom. And he's walking and talking as he's looking at the sky, and he is so grateful to be celebrating Pesach, really experiencing freedom in a way that those of us blessed not to have been in his situation cannot fathom, and how he is transmitting and how he is clearly experiencing this freedom so intensely, so deeply. And on the one hand, pray that he puts the trauma behind him, yet on the other hand, he and all of us need to be able to actually internalize and experience what it means to be free. And I think that if we reflect on certain messages of the Haggadah, focusing actually on who was the author of the Haggadah, which is not a clearly answered question, and linking it with the Shevii shel Pesach, which is the 7th day of Pesach, the last day of the festival of Pesach in the land of Israel. In Chutz La'aretz there is another day, but when we think about that last day of Pesach, which is the day of Kriyas Yam Suf, the day when the Red Sea was split, and just tie together those messages of about the author of the Haggadah and the connection between the Haggadah and Kriyas Yam Suf, and the connection of all of that to our lives on a constant basis. So in terms of the author of the Haggadah, there are many suggestions. According to Rabbi Fahy, there are possibly about 10 potential authors of the Haggadah. And some say Moshe Rabbeinu was the author of the Haggadah, some say Anshe HaKnesses Hagdolah, the men of the Great Assembly, to mention 2 of them. And another potential author of the Haggadah, and this is suggested by Rav Aaron Kotler in one of his forum, and this is Rabban Gamliel. Rabban Gamliel is, according to some opinions, the author of the Haggadah. And if we look, and we can also connect all of this to the fact that we can use Pirkei Avot, the section of ethics of our fathers, and this is something that we read between Pesach and Rosh Hashanah, a chapter of each Shabbat afternoon. We read a chapter of the 6 that comprise this tractate, and a phrase that frequently occurs in Pirkei Avot is Hu Haya Omer, he used to say. And this is not just like a quotation mark. When we read Hu Haya Omer, we can understand it that this, whatever saying is associated with that Talmudic sage, with that particular learned person, that defined their essence. And this is, I think, a parallel that we see in Israel when we see, if you walking along the streets and you look at bus stops or you look at gates, you look at, lampposts, you'll see stickers, many stickers on all of these. And the stickers will often feature the picture, the smiling face of a wonderful, heroic chayal who was Moser Nefesh, who literally delivered his soul, gave his life for the safety and protection of Yisrael. And this is something that Alon Rochel also acknowledges in his clip, that his freedom, his ability to celebrate Pesach with his family in Israel is because of these brave people who are on the front and serving during the holiday, many of them, and so that we can be free here and celebrate Pesach. And so when we read these stickers on the bus stop and the sayings that are associated that we read, and it's really worth stopping and reading as many of them as you can, and the uplifting messages, the messages of faith and courage and hope and optimism are really exceptional, and it's worth reading. And so that is the modern day Hu Haya Omer. The Hu Haya Omer that we read in Pirkei Avot symbolizes the essence of that particular rabbi. And there's one of the hints that the person who wrote the Gemara, who wrote the Haggadah, was Rabban Gamliel, is because we have in the section after Dayenu that we mentioned the three fundamental items, Pesach, Matzah, and Maror, and that begins with the person who, the rabbi who mandated that is Rabban Gamliel. Rabban Gamliel haya omer kol shelo amar shlosha devarim elu b'Pesach lo yotza yedei chavasa ve'elu hein Pesach, Matzah, and Maror. So whoever doesn't say these three things hasn't actually fulfilled his obligations, and this is Pesach, Matzah, and Maror. So because of that phrase, there is a hint that the authorship of the Haggadah is actually Rabban Gamliel. But the concept that Rabban Gamliel is epitomizing is that we have to be able to see the future in the present. And really this is the story of the Haggadah. The Haggadah is telling us of a time, and if we look at the Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel, just before they come out of Egypt, according to Rabbeinu Bachya, they had their stick and their shoes on. And this is before they actually went out. They were walking around, they were believing that they were going to leave Egypt, and they were bringing the future into their present lives. They were bringing that promise of Hashem and making it part of that present, so confident that Hashem is going to fulfill his promise, his obligations. And this gives them the courage. And very often when we have that inner belief and we project a certain strength, then we influence ourselves, but we influence those around us as well, and we actually create the reality that we are so confident of. And this message of being able to do that is something that we get from the text of the Haggadah, but we also get it from the concept and the words that we find in the Shira, the special song that Moshe Rabbeinu sang after the Bnei Yisrael were rescued at the Yam Suf, at the Reed Sea. And the Medrash actually tells a very beautiful story, that the opening words are Az Yashir Moshe, which we translate as, then technically it's Moshe will sing, and this is a remez to Olam Haba. This is the only place in the Torah where there is an allusion to the world to come. And again, this belief in the world to come is a way of bringing the future into the present. We are living in the here and now, but our belief in the world to come is that way of stating our faith in Hashem. And this idea that when Moshe Rabbeinu says Az Yashir, he is actually rectifying a mistake that he made when he used that word Az in a previous context. Where was that previous context? That previous context was when Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu that he has to go to Paro and give the message that Paro has to free the Jewish people, and then Paro gets angry and he increases the workload, and then this comes in Shemos chapter 5 verse 23, and Moshe Rabbeinu says, Ume'az basi el Paro, and using that same word Oz, from that time that I gave the message, that I came to Pharaoh, things have actually gotten worse for the Jewish people. Their workload has been increased, and well, how could you make it worse for the people? And when Moshe Rabbeinu uses the word Oz in this way in Shemos, he is actually, as it were, sinning with that allegation that fulfilling Hashem's instruction has actually caused greater harm to the Jewish people. And the rectification for the misuse of that word Oz in Shemos comes when he is singing the Shira. Now, the point of the Shira is, if we look back, when the Jewish people are going in to that ocean, to that sea, then they are bringing the future into the present. They are bringing that future promise, because when they go in, yes, Nachshon ben Amminadab is the one who takes the plunge, literally, but all the people then follow. And it is again bringing that future belief, that future confidence, and the future confidence is compared to the confidence that we have Hashem, that we can find zivug, we can find a match. It's on the same level as Kriyas Yamsuf, and earning our daily breath, again on the same level as Kriyas Yamsuf, having the faith in Hashem that we will be successful in these endeavors. But this statement of faith and hope and courage, this which is the word Oz is a symbol. And if we look at the gematria, the numerical value of the word Oz is 8. And the word 8, the number 8, is actually a symbol of the supernatural. When we have the number 7, that's the highest level of holiness within nature. So we have, for example, Shabbos is the 7th day, but the number 8 is one above that. So, for example, Bris Milah, this circumcision, takes place on the 8th day. We have Shmini Atzeres, and the number 8 is this symbol of one above nature. And really our courage and faith in and our ability to learn the messages of the Haggadah from Rabban Gamliel, if he was the author. But even if he wasn't the author, this ability to have our faith, to develop our faith, to have our shoes and our stick ready to go from Mitzrayim, and listen to the words of a man who is spending his first Pesach after over 2 years of being in captivity, then he is showing us how we need to listen and absorb and carry that message and keep it fresh and alive within us. And in that way, the night of Seder is a way of infusing us for the whole year. It's not just a one-night event. It sets us up for the whole year, and it carries us from one year to the next. And please God, we should be able to fulfill that vision of Oz Yoshir Moshe that we will read on the 7th day of Pesach. We should be able to witness that the coming of Moshiach, that promise of redemption, that, please God, we are moving so quickly towards. Thank you very much for listening and wishing everybody a very wonderful Pesach. Thank you.